Dollar Tree raises price point to $1.25, citing inflation. So the company known for dirt cheap deals says it can offer more items with a higher cap. Now, some people might view this as this is kind of like a stupid story. Other people who might stumble upon this might think like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is actually pretty serious issue." I lean more on the side of this is actually a more serious issue because here's the thing, right? The majority of the people who end up shopping at Dollar Tree tend to be on the lower income side, meaning a quarter increase, right, is a pretty drastic amount, right? This could literally be the breaking point of someone living paycheck to paycheck or no longer living paycheck to paycheck, where they're actually now going straight into debt to simply survive, right? Like this is kind of like a situation that could literally cause someone to start living on a credit card, which is pretty crazy. But let's get right into the story. The Dollar Tree, a favorite shopping option for bargain hunters, will increase its baseline price for items from its namesake dollar to $1.25, the company said Tuesday. President and Chief Executive Officer Michael Witynski blamed inflation for the need to bump up prices, but insisted that Dollar Tree customers will roll with the price tag punches. Our Dollar Tree pricing tests have demonstrated broad consumer acceptance of the new price point and excitement about the additional offerings and extreme value we will be able to provide, Wodinski said in a statement detailing third quarter company earnings. Accordingly, we have begun rolling out the $1.25 price point at all Dollar Tree stores nationwide. While some items inside Dollar Tree stores cost more than $1, the company is well known for holding nearly all its goods to that $1 per unit price point, according to Neil Saunders, an analyst at Global Data Retail. So most of the company's loyal customers understand the nation struggles with inflation and supply chain slowdowns and will likely stick with Dollar Tree despite having to shell out $1.25 for many items, Saunders predicted. It's not helpful, but it's not disastrous, Saunders said. Sucharita Kodali, vice president and principal analyst of Forrester Research, also said customers would get over any initial sticker shock. I think if there are specific items that people are used to buying for $1, like soda or a candy bar, it could be a shock to have a higher price, but at the same time, I don't know that people will riot, she said. Most people see it as a quarter, not a 25% inflation. With a higher price ceiling, the company claimed it can offer more products that couldn't be carried with a strict adherence to a $1 cap. Dollar Tree now has the ability to materially expand its offerings, introduce new products and sizes, and provide families with more of their daily essentials, according to a company statement. It's unlikely the store will change its familiar name. The $1 and a quarter tree store doesn't have the same ring to it, Saunders quipped. Well, yeah, of course it doesn't. But either way, like a lot of people don't really understand is like, yes, people may stick with this store. People may keep shopping there mostly because they probably have no options. But they are probably going to be worse customers in the long run because they're going to start to get they're going to start to feel the pain of paying more, right? Like their bill that might have cost like $50 that week is potentially now more like $75, right? Or, it's just like it's let's put it like this. Okay. Let's say that their typical bill was like $100 per week for like their groceries, their essentials, all that kind of stuff, right? And they went to Dollar Store, the Dollar Tree thing, Dollar General, whatever. Dollar Tree. Yeah. And then next week or this week, whatever, they get their essentials again, and now they spent $125, right? Well, that $25 originally could have been used for something else. and you might end up having an irate customer that could take it out on your cashiers, onto your staff, right? Now, there probably won't be any riots around this, but there's probably going to be a decent amount of customers that were so used to spending a certain amount of money or under a certain amount every single week at the store that are now going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to complain to the manager. I'm going to have to complain to you. I'm going to like waste everyone's time. I'm going to just annoy everyone until I get my way. I'm going to like be very angry because like why the hell did my bill go up $25? What is going on here? And so forth and so forth and so forth, right? Because a lot of people don't really think too much of something until it directly affects them. And this is going to have a lot of direct effect on people who are typically making a lower income, where they rely on stores like this to actually get what they need, right? To actually, survive, to actually like live a life, right? Now, of course, there are some people who just like shopping at Dollar Tree because it's cheaper, right? But when you have people who probably actually rely on this store for their necessities, increasing the cost by 25% is massive, right? And again, this is just a quarter, right? People are just going to see this or hear this like that's just a quarter. No, for people who are making a low amount of money or who are living paycheck to paycheck, a quarter per item of what they get can really add up very quickly. And this could end up causing them to not necessarily have any gifts for Christmas. This could make it so that, their Thanksgiving meals or whatever it could be super expensive. Like, this is going to get into a situation where shopping at the store now will have a pretty detrimental effect on their finances by simply shopping here again, right? But I think in the grand scheme of things, the main point to really take from this story is that you really need to understand your personal finances, because if inflation continues, things are going to get much tougher for everyone, right? Like so far, the biggest issues are like for people who are making less money or who have no assets. Meaning, if you do not own any stocks, if you do not own any real estate, and if you do not own any crypto, right, you are pretty much struggling compared to the people who do own those assets, right? Because those assets can typically increase as inflation increases, meaning they're not basically losing money in inflation and in inflation, they're basically benefiting from inflation because their values, their net worths are continuously increasing, right? But if you're someone who's living paycheck to paycheck or you have a lot of debt, right, where your net worth is zero or negative, well, now you're in a situation that inflation is destroying you, right? Now you're basically digging a bigger hole for you where you're going to basically be laid to rest, right? Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, this is like a pretty strong warning sign that, like, hey, if you didn't take your personal finance seriously before, now is the time to do it, because you do not want to be living paycheck to paycheck or living with massive amounts of debt in a time when inflation is going to be continuously increasing. So if you want to learn how to master your money and go get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com.